Well, joining us now to discuss is Florida Congresswoman Cammack. She's also a member of the Homeland Security Committee. Congresswoman, welcome back to National Report. Again, we continue to follow these foreign policy developments here. The U.S. delivering multiple warnings to President Putin in recent days, urging him not to invade Ukraine. Do you think we would see a military invasion in the region? And if so, how should the U.S. respond?
Well, good morning and happy Friday. It's great to be back. And, listen, we all know that there's been a lot of posturing. There's been a lot of talk. And with regard to Biden, for someone who is truly a swamp creature, a 40-year career politician, he's treating this like amateur hour. And that's really disappointing because now more than ever, words matter. And we have seen repeatedly the stumbles, the fumbles from the Biden administration. I mean, for example, we've seen him call Vice President Harris President Harris. So this latest gaffe is causing more unnecessary pressure because what it's doing is putting lives at risk. And he's playing a game of checkers while Putin is playing chess. We will see over the next few weeks how this administration react. But I think that's all the more reason why Congress needs to step into a leadership role where we can have thoughtful, reliable, consistent leadership from the United States, because clearly this administration isn't cutting it.
Well, it's sparked a lot of response internationally as well, as we know. The president of Ukraine weighing in, pointing out there are no minor incursions. The White House press secretary Jen Psaki on cleanup duty. She clarified the president's minor incursion remarks. Vice President Kamala Harris, you mentioned her as well. She's also defending President Biden. Take a listen.
I will repeat myself. And I'm Vice President of the United States, and the President and I work closely together, and I know his position because he has been consistent in that regard. If Vladimir Putin and Russia takes aggressive action, it will be met with a cost that will be severe.
Do you think President Biden will take decisive action if Russia takes any portion of Ukraine? And what are your expectations for the Secretary of State's meeting today with his Russian counterpart?
Well, you asked about, do I think that Biden has, the fortitude to actually follow through on his words? I don't know. And quite frankly, I think it's unlikely, because what is happening here is we're seeing the stage being set for not just the Russia and Ukraine situation, but we're also seeing the world watching what happens here. China will be watching very closely to the U.S. response. Is the United States prepared to go in and defend Taiwan should China take action against Taiwan? We've seen nothing but weak leadership. And I used that clip with Vice President Harris. She had to clarify that she is, in fact, the vice president. I wish she would tell that to Biden occasionally, because he seems to be confused. And quite frankly, I feel like we here in Congress need to send some cleaning buckets over to the White House, because all they seem to do is be on cleanup duty. We need to be sending a very clear message that words have actions behind them if warranted. We need NATO to be stepping up. There cannot be a U.S. leading the charge on this front without NATO partners and allies in the fold. So we have some really, really very serious decisions to make. And I am very, very cautious going into the next few weeks. And I think Biden should too, and recognize that, again, this is not amateur hour. His words matter, and his team needs to be on the same page. And I don't have exactly high hopes for Secretary Blinken as he goes into today's discussions.
Well, you recently gave a speech on the House floor, really not holding back your criticism for the president's first year in the Oval Office. Let's show our viewers part of that moment. Take a listen.
This administration's first year in office has been a disaster from top to bottom. Instead of working to change positively, Biden has worked to change our country into a population of dependents, because that is, at the end of the day, what this administration is about: dependency and control.
Congresswoman, what would you like to see from the Biden administration as they enter year two?
Well, I don't ever want us to reach a point in our nation where we want the man in the White House to fail more than our country succeed. I think as Americans, we need to be constantly pushing for our nation's success. And so going into this next year, I would hope that he would start with, one, an apology. and two, a recognition that Americans are hurting and his domestic agenda is a disaster. What we have seen is crisis after crisis. You can't walk down the street without hitting another crisis, be it inflation, Afghanistan, the southwest border, COVID. It's been a disaster from top to bottom. And we were just talking about the situation in Ukraine. That is extraordinarily dangerous. The policies that this administration has put forward domestically are a disaster, and they're causing pain here at home. His foreign policy is dangerous and setting the stage for more pain abroad that Americans will have to bear the brunt of. We need him to get serious about policy, not a political agenda, and doing what's best for the country, not the Democratic Party.
There was a moment during the president's press conference on Wednesday where he offered this question, saying he didn't know what Republicans were for, especially as we look toward the midterm elections. Congresswoman, what are Republicans for?
If I had to sum it up, I would say we are the party of the working class. We are about equal opportunity, not equal outcome. And at the end of the day, we fight for families, we fight for freedom, and we fight for faith. That's what we're about. And if he were smart and had the country's best interests in mind, he would be fighting for those same things too.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Congresswoman Cammack joining us live on the program. Congresswoman, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for taking the time.